Hello YouTubers, Alaska Prepper here. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to explain to you how it is that if you hold paper notes, if you hold any kind of a currency that is issued by any government, especially if it's a fiat currency, which that's what we have nowadays, that it is worth nothing. And I'm going to prove to you right now why not. Right here it says, rush to deposit paper 20-pound and 50-pound notes before deadline, before their removal. All right? So why am I saying this, that they're worth nothing? They're only worth what your government allows them to be worth. Right now, over here, the pound, the paper pounds, the currency, the fiat currency that people have that they think are valuable, right now they're worth something. But after the 30th of September of this year, they'll be worth nothing. Why is that? Because the government over there is saying so. So how much value is there really in a paper note, in this paper promissory note, no matter what country you live in? How much value is there in those notes really if your government can tell you, hey, these things are no good after this date? How much value? If you're holding hard assets, right? If you're holding something that's tangible, something that you can hold, something that brings value to your life, all right? If you're holding those things, it doesn't matter what currency changes in whatever country it may be. That thing will still have value. It'll still have value to you, and more than likely it will have value to someone else. And you'll be able to exchange that thing for that new currency that your government is now saying you have to use by edict, because someone sitting in their ivory tower signed a piece of paper and said, you have to use this now, lowly citizen. So now you have no choice but to turn in your old notes and get new notes. It means that they can change the value of those notes anytime they want, and it means that those notes really intrinsically have zero value whatsoever. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not going to go into what types of vehicles I use in order to preserve my wealth. I've talked about that en masse. You can go to my previous videos where I cover gold, where I cover silver, where I tell you that I think that the very best thing that you can do to preserve your wealth is to have a full pantry, a stocked up full pantry. If you take a look at the value of your pantry now, if it's stocked up, and the value of it last year, right, in reference to how many dollars or how many currency units in your country you had to spend for it today than a year ago, you will see that you outperformed the stock market. Right? In my opinion, that's the best thing that you can do in order to preserve wealth, is get those things that you know you're going to use in the future anyways, before your government decides to either devalue it, get rid of it altogether. But AP, they're not getting rid of it. They're just having you turn it in for something else. Well, what about those people that don't want to? Isn't that a representation of your wealth? Isn't that paper note that governments issue, doesn't that represent your wealth? What if you don't want to get rid of those notes? What if some people, let's just go ahead and pick out some ridiculous scenarios. Let's say that someone is in the hospital and they're in a coma, and they stay in a coma for 2 months. But at home, they had 100,000 pounds, in this case, worth of those old paper bills. And then when they get out of that coma, they come back up from that coma, they go home, and now those bills that were supposed to be preserving their energy, their labor, now they are worth zero. Because you know how government works, right? Some people would say, well, as long as he or she has proof that they were in a coma, why should you have to do that? Why, ladies and gentlemen? Post offices brace for rush in customers depositing old paper $20 and $50 notes before they cease to be legal tender this week. Now remember, especially for those of you that live here in the United States, there is a difference between legal and lawful. Something that is made legal usually by edict, and or if it is made legal by law, it can still be unlawful because it is not according to the Constitution of these United States, which is the supreme law of the land. The post office is preparing for a last-moment rush in customers depositing 20s and 50s in its branches this week before they can no longer be used in shops or to pay businesses. September 30th is the last day the Bank of England's paper 20 and 50 banknotes will have legal tender status. Here it says everything you need to know. After 30 September 2022, you will not be able to use paper banknotes. However, the following options will remain available. If you have a UK banknote, you will normally still be able to deposit them at your bank or into your account at a post office. You can exchange certain withdrawn paper banknotes for polymer notes at a limited number of post office branches. This is a new service, and the full list of branches is on the Bank of England website. You can exchange withdraw banknotes with the Bank of England, including by post. I wonder why. If anything has any input on this, send an email to my Alaska Prepper Intel email channel. Email address, I'm sorry, not channel. And the link for that is in the description of the video, right? The email address for that is in the description of the video down below. If you have any input on this, any information on this, any intel, please send it to me on that so that maybe I can better understand. But why is it that they're changing the notes? What is it about these new notes that's going to be different or better than those old notes, right? And that's just a question that I'm asking all of you, especially those of you that maybe do live across the pond. The pound flash crashes 500 pips to record lows amid global FX carnage as things start breaking. I've been saying this for a while, and other channels have been saying this for a while as well, to include the Economic Ninja, to include Financial Prepper, to include many other channels that I follow as far as financial goes. For those of you that want to know what financial channels I follow, go to last Friday's live stream, and beneath in a pinned comment, I left like 18 financial channels that I normally visit on a daily, well, not a daily basis. There's like 3 or 4 that I visit on a daily basis, but I left a link to 14 or 18 financial channels that are, in my opinion, outstanding financial channels. Ladies and gentlemen, when England breaks, or when the EU breaks, we are going to break. We will break last. And like I said, a lot of other people have talked about this, even people that are actually doing this for a living, right? I'm just a layman taking a look with my eyes, listening with my ears, and thinking with the little pea brain that I was given at birth. All right, so don't listen to me. Go do your own research. But in my opinion, as soon as the EU breaks, and it will break, we will break here 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month, maybe a month and a half, but we will definitely be next. After the EU is gone, we are next. I wanted to show you this article for one reason and one reason only. It says here, officials say oil price cap on Russia crude exports to include products. Now, we all know, or if you don't know, oil is the #1 used commodity in the world. It's used in almost everything. The second being silver. All right, but I digress on the silver. But oil is the #1 used commodity all over the world. It's used in everything. Almost anything that you touch on an everyday basis, oil was involved. You know what? Everything that you touch on an everyday basis, oil was involved in one way or another. So now U.S. officials are going to put a price cap on Russian crude exports to include products that have oil in them. And what I wanted to show you was this. Right here it says, the price cap on Russian crude products would come into effect as early as February, said the U.S. And she said that the U.S. is planning for caps of high value and low value products. So pretty much any product that has oil in it, there will be a cap on it, a price cap, meaning that if Russia feels that they're not getting enough for it, they're just not going to sell it. Just like they're not selling their oil for the prices that have been set by the EU. They're saying, you take it at my price or you don't take it at all. What does this tell me? This tells me that this thing that's going on, these sanctions that's going on, that is really messing up the world as far as energy goes and food as well, is going to continue long term. It's not just a month or 2 or 3. Long term. This is as early as February is when they start. That is when it starts, as early as February. So if you think that you don't need to prepare for next year, just take a look at this. They're telling you right now that this is going to continue to go on. It's going to be the song that never ends. Right? Just like crises for governments is the song that never ends. There always has to be a crisis, followed by a crisis, followed by a crisis. This will be the new boogeyman, and this will be the song that never ends. Why? Because, ladies and gentlemen, governments thrive on crises. Something that we really need to continue to be aware of. The global water crisis could crush the energy industry. You've all heard of the problems that we're having with our hydroelectric power plants that are connected to dams, and how the dams are going so low in water level that they've been having to shut down turbines. Ladies and gentlemen, remember, we are in a 1,200-year-old mega drought cycle. This is not ending soon. I hope that those of you that have been following me for a while, that you have actually taken action. Remember that you can have all of the hope that you want, but without action, hope is just hope. It's not going to feed you. And if you haven't seen my very first video of the day, go take a look at that video, because hopefully, if you're not convinced and if you're not awake, maybe that video will help you wake up to the fact that you do need to prepare. Right? You do need to prepare. It's not just for man-made things, like war and all these kinds of things. It's also for things that occur naturally within nature, of course. Poland distributes iodine pills as fears grow over Ukraine nuclear plant. So it's always a good idea to be prepared for whatever. Right, ladies and gentlemen, I've shown you on payday preps of the past that I've done that I've gotten iodine pills. Why? I'm like, well, you never know. Like we had that thing that happened with Japan, that nuclear reactor that went down. I think it was in 2015. I don't know if I'm right on that or not, but correct me if I'm wrong. I think it was 2015 that their nuclear reactor, actually it was two of them, that overheated and blew up because of that tsunami that they had. You just never know. It doesn't have to be war. It could be anything. And it doesn't have to happen in your part of the world. So prepare. If you can still get this, go ahead and get this if you want to. It's up to you. You have to live with the consequences of the decisions that you make. Okay? But it's always good to be prepared for anything. I believe that first and foremost, if you haven't started prepping, if you're just thinking about it, then definitely get all of those things that sustain life first. All right, water, food, medicine, right, fuel, energy, heat, warmth, shelter, self-defense, etc., etc., etc. And then you can start expanding out to maybe different scenarios that may happen. But those things that I mentioned first and foremost, those are the things that are going to keep you alive. Right? And it's different for everyone, depending on what part of the world you live in. We're all different, ladies and gentlemen. Go ahead and take a look at my link for nutrient survival in the description of the video, because right now, until the 30th of September, they are giving 20% off anything that you buy. The link and the code for the 20% off is under the description of this video. But remember, it's only till the 30th of September of this year. I think it's a great deal. It's the best discount that I've ever seen Nutrient Survival do. So if you are in the market to stock up on freeze-dried foods, Nutrient Survival, you all know that my opinion is that they are the very best and most nutrient-dense food in the market, period. All right, ladies and gentlemen, having said that, have a great day. Remember to be good to each other. When good people do good things happen. Remember to reach one, teach one, and repeat. If we all did this, the world would be a better place, and you know that it will be a better place. Many blessings to all of you and your families. I'm Alaska Prepper. I'm out.